Hi folks, welcome back to my video series. My name is Loy and I'm glad to be here today to talk about part 3, whereby we will be focusing on protecting your workload. For example, your virtual machines, either Windows or Linux that you already provisioned and put it into Microsoft Azure. Then you also create Azure SQL, right? Whereby you are leveraging on their platform as a service to store your database as well, right? Just want to recap on my previous video. In series 1, we talked about backup from on-premise. We tiers the backup data into object storage for longer archiving. Then on series 2, we talk about leveraging on Veeam to restore your on-prem backup data to Microsoft Azure. You can also take your backup data from the object storage, which you already tiered in part 1, right? You can use it to restore as a virtual machine on the public cloud as well. Okay, so this is the continued series. For those of you who missed my previous video, you can go to the descriptions to refer to the previous video. Do remember to click on subscribe button, all right, to stay tuned on my next upcoming video. Let's have a quick look on the architectures, the one that we are going to talk about. First and foremost, you already move your workload into public cloud. You create Windows VM running Windows on Linux. You also created what we call Azure SQL. Now the next question is, without install agent, right? How do you protect this particular workload, right? On Veeam itself, we do have what we call Veeam backup for Microsoft Azure. You can use this to backup natively on this particular workload. If it's version 11A, this is the latest version that we are using right now. You can manage the whole entire data protections, including creating policies, restorations, all from your Veeam backup console, which is located on your on-premise, right? The backup data that you, uh, uh, the next thing will be your backup policy that you create. You can configure to have a snapshot for short term, right? And then for long-term archiving, you can most likely you can configure to put it into Azure block storages. Either you put it into hot or cool. With the latest versions right now on Azure Backup version 3, you can have an option to put it into Azure block storages archive repositories, right? Um, Not only that, besides than putting everything into the cloud, you can also make a copy, transfers your backup data on the cloud back to on-prem, right? From there, you can do a restorations. You can even migrate those particular workload to different cloud as well, right? Now let's have a quick look on how to configure the backup policy from the on-prem Veeam backup server. This is the latest version, the V11A. From here, we already do some integration to Microsoft Azure. Therefore, you're able to create a policy for backup virtual machine and also Azure SQL. Let's try to create a backup policy for virtual machine. It will redirect to the portal. From here, you're able to configure your backup policy. Let's try to create backup Azure VM1. Select your account. Select the regions whereby you want, where's your workload are located, and you would like to protect them. And then select your resources that you want to protect. From here, you're able to select either based on subscriptions, resource group, virtual machine, and also tagging. we are going to select virtual machine, and then from here, let's type line. This is the VM that we been using since series 1. We uploaded and also restored to Microsoft Azure. Let's select this one. Then you have the options to backup application aware of this particular virtual machines. Since this VM is running on Windows, you can select enable application aware. Then for those non-Microsoft VSS, you can inject a script. For example, here you're able to inject a pre-script and also post-script as well. Let's skip this, click next, click next. The next thing will be, do you want to back up to the object storage for long-term archiving? If yes, then you select this. Click on next. Define your scheduling. Let's define a daily retention. I'm going to do a snapshot every 1 p.m. and then transfer to object storage also on 1 a.m. 1 p.m. Retention policy, I just want to keep it for probably 2 restore point, and backup to repo will be 3 days. Since this is daily, let's put it into hot here. For weekly, from here you're able to select, for example, backups, give it for 1 month, and then you can put it into cool tier if you want to. Then for the latest editions, you're able to move your backup data, the folders backup data, for example, monthly and yearly. From here, you're able to define, let's say, for example, move your backups to archive. Right? For demo purpose, we are not going to backup weekly and monthly. So we just select maintain as daily. Let's move into next page. On this particular product, they do include it with a built-in cost estimator based on the policy that you define and also the retention policy. Be able to calculate the cost for snapshot, backup to object storage, traffic, and also transactions. If you do have multiple virtual machines, it will list down as all the virtual machines and the cost as well. Then if you want to have a report on this, you can click on export. So you can export as a CSV file or XML file. Let's move on. In case of any backup failure, you can retry 3 times. Once you're happy with the policy, you can click on finish. This is how easy for you to configure a backup policy for virtual machine. Let's move on to Azure virtual machine. You can proceed the configuration from here, or you can just go to here, click on Azure SQL. Right? You will do the same thing. You will redirect, right? To the backup policy from here. Let's define backup SQL. This is platform as a service one. Point to your accounts, the region where your database is located. Right now I'm at Southeast Asia. Then select your DB. Right now you can base on database or you can base on SQL servers. Right? Let's click on browse. We already pre-created the SQL database. It's located into this platform. Then click on apply. Next will be we need to select the staging to connect to for database consistency. Right now, I just point back to the same the server that we host our current database, and I also need to define the SQL account that able to connect to this particular SQL database. Next, define your retentions. Same thing as well. Right now, in terms of backup, the Azure SQL, the only option that you have will be backup. So we are going to run backup every 1 p.m. and then keep it for probably 3 days. Object storage, I'm going to put it into hot tier. Same goes as if I go for monthly. If I want, I can point to archive, right, and keep it for monthly. Right. Let's click on this. We are just going to enable for daily. Press on next. On the next page, it do included with a built-in cost estimator, which will tell you the cost of backing up this particular database, put it into object storage, how much does it cost, traffic, and also transaction as well. You still have the options to export out the reports if you want to. Next will be you do have automatic retry in case of any failure. Once you have done, you can click on test configuration to check whether you do have any credentials permissions or not, right? So if you look from here, there's no access to this particular DB. So let's recheck again. Right. So authentication successful. The next thing will be checking the database permission. Okay. All permission check. Click on finish. The next thing will be if you want to execute manually. Let's have a quick look on here. And right now, this is the two policy that you already created just now. Let's start this job. Same scope for virtual machine. Let's start this. Then if you want to view the progress, you can click on here as well. From here, you're able to see that it's doing a backup right now. Same goes as virtual machine. On the portal, now this is been running. If you click on session, from here, you're able to see that it's running backup right now. Same goes as virtual machine, right? This will take a while. So what we are going to do is we are going to pause this particular video and we are going to resume once it's finished to do back. Well, now the backup for SQL database has been completed. So from the VBA console, you notice that it's already successful and it's already export out to object storage, right, for long-term archiving. Let's have a quick look on the virtual machine itself, right? Now let's have a look. This is one of the virtual machines and I'm going to connect it. I'm using a SQL Management Studio to connect to the Azure SQL database. Inside here, I already got one database here, right? And of course, there's several of the table as well. From here, if you want to check, for example, right, inside also got some data. And this is the outcome, right? Back to the screen, right? Then on here, let's have a look at it. The cloud, and yet. So this is your database. You can restore back to Microsoft Azure SQL if you want to. Let's try to do it. from the VBR console. Select your restore point, right? At this moment, I already got one. Let's try to restore to another location. Now let's pick an account, same account. Target server, point back to the same server. If you do have other SQL servers, you can just assign here. If not, you point back to the same one. Now, for database, let's point to different name. What we're going to do is we are just going to put restore at the back, right? Next, and click restore. Okay. You can also do it from the portal. So let's say on the portal, you can click on the Azure SQL. From here, you can able to select restore as well. All right. Let's have a look on the session. So it's running a SQL database restoration. Right. Let's have a quick look on the virtual machines. Okay, so it's connecting. So notice here the process is just going to import the backpack file and restore it to the mylibdb01 restore. Let's check on the virtual machine. As well, virtual machines right now the process has been completed. It's already transferred to object storage as well. If you want to do recoveries, you can do the same thing as well from here. Right, so this is the virtual machine. Okay, just right click, restore to Azure virtual machine. Select your restore point. You can restore to another location if you want to. Right, you can point to different names. Then from here you follow the wizard, same like the series 2 that we already talked about it. It's similar like the direct restore. Follow the wizard, select your virtual machine, select your names, your virtual networks, all these kind of things. Right. We are not going to do that. But the thing is, remember just now we got do a snapshot. So from here you're able to see that I have a snapshot already in place. So let's do a recovery on using snapshot. I'm going to point it to different locations and different name. Oh, sorry. No, point it to different name. Subscriptions, Southeast Asia. Okay, let's put the different names for this restoration. Let's call it restore 2. Okay, availability options. Yep. VM size. Okay, from here you can select your size. Right? You can select your this as well. Right? You can put it different name. Okay, new names. Okay. Let's point it to 2. Network. Let's point back to the same virtual network. We are going to select back this one. Subnet default. Yes. Next. Attempt to restore anyways. Yeah. Okay. Next. We do not want it to power on, so let's do restoration. It will take a while, right? So let's have a quick look on the progress. So here, all right. So DB restore in progress, importing, and then restore the virtual machine, also in progress, right? Let's pause this video and we will resume when it's completed. Now we're back to, let's check the status on your success, right? So from here, we have successful restore the whole entire database and also successful restore the virtual machine as well, right? If you go back to the web console, you can see the status is success for SQL recovery. Same thing. Virtual machine is the same, right? Now let's go back to the workload, right? So if I go back to the workload on the virtual machines, right, from here, all right, notice there's a virtual machine here. What we're going to do is we click refresh. Okay, click on the DB. There you go. So there's another one database which already restored. It's called MyLiveDB01 restore. All right. Okay, if you don't need it, let's click on remove and just to decom this. Okay. All right, folks. We have looked into how to protect your virtual machine, right, on Azure, plus also backup your Azure SQL database. Stay tuned for our next upcoming video series. We will cover that in our next section. Thank you very much and see you.